What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am incredibly excited to be bringing you an update to my most personal favourite deck in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is of course Dark Magician. Now this update will involve the brand new Primite cards. So we got a small engine which really does help out some normal style decks, and what I do like about this engine is it allows me to take the Dark Magician deck back to the old school ways. And what I mean by that is it all revolves around Dark Magician. It revolves around controlling the board. It utilizes more spells and traps like Yugioh does than going all out aggression or just smashing in every kind of engine under the sun and playing one Dark Magician and probably a Red Eyes. So what I really do like about this deck is it kind of goes back to the roots of Dark Magician. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to show you more content as we go on. But at the base minimum, what I wanted to give you is a structure that you can work with, adapt it as you see fit to your own personal playstyle, and then explain and introduce you to the brand new Primite cards and how they really do help the deck kind of flourish a little bit more on a controlled sense. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, I'm going to dive headfirst into the profile, show you what we've got, and explain why we've got it. So for the first time in a long time, we are playing triple Dark Magician. This is my favourite artwork ever, and I'm so happy that it came as a quarter century as well, so I was able to pick up a set. Now the reason we're playing 3 Dark Magician in this particular version, and like I said at the start of the video, this deck is designed to kind of pay homage to Dark Magician, while also revolve around the normal monster of Dark Magician itself. Now the reason we're playing 3 of this is because the new Primite cards actually get you access to special summon this from the deck. They give you the ability that if you control a normal monster, you can banish a card on the field, you can negate a card on the field. It gives you so much that I'm actually quite happy to be playing 3 Dark Magician. Yes, of course, you could play something like a Lord of Darkness, you could have more discard fodder, but even having a Dark Magician in the hand is not the end of the world, as you do have ways of using it as fusion material, ritual material, XYZ material, and just general discard fodder or reveal fodder for your Primite cards as well. Then we do play triple Magician Souls. As you can see, this deck has been maxed out where at all possible for the Dark Magician cards, as where I could really do so. Then of course we've got 2 Illusion of Chaos. Now it really is up to you. Some people play 3 Illusion of Chaos, one preparation. Some people play 3 preparation, 3 illusions, 2s and 2s. I'm personally, my opinion on the Illusion of Chaos is playing a 2 and a 2. So I play 2 preparation and 2 Illusion of Chaos. It really is up to you. You can play around with those ratios as you see fit. There is no real benefit or downside of going any other ratio that you want to, apart from activating preparation and get hit with a droll. So if you feel droll is going to be more prominent, I'd probably then advise you going 3 Illusion of Chaos and 1 preparation. But the way that I kind of look at it is having four ways to get to my Illusion of Chaos is absolutely fine, as there is a bit of a clash in the deck, and that is with the main Primite card, Lordy Lord, that if you use its second effect to get another vanilla from the deck, you can't use monster effects special summoned on the field for that entire turn. So that is really kind of important as well. So it's really important that if you were to go Illusion of Chaos into Magician's Souls, you're not doing that, because more times than not, you're going to be going Illusion of Chaos into Magician's Rod, normal summoning down the Rod, and then that doesn't clash with the Lordy Lord. And then the last quarter century that you will see for this one is Dark Magician Gil. Now, obviously, the reason we're playing one of this is because we do play more access to get to Dark Magician. We're going to be getting Dark Magician a lot easier to the field and to the graveyard. So you're utilizing Dark Magician Gil in order to get you that double draw off of the Soul Servant. In doing so, because we are playing the Dark Magician Gil, we do play a couple of one-off cards that get utilized a little bit more beneficial from Dark Magician Gil being in rotation, and those will of course be Magician's Salvation, and then of course Magician's Combination, which I actually really do like. I just wish that this card didn't force you to have Dark Magician Gil in rotation. But that being said, I would have also liked there to have been a card that searched you out more direct access to a Dark Magician Gil cards. Like, yes, of course you can search out the combination off of the back of Rod, which is really nice, and you can get it off a Circle. And of all of the versions, this is the version I'd actually be considering wanting to play Circle at more than one, just for the pure fact that having Circle on the board, especially when you play your Primite cards, which we'll know a little bit more about when we get to them, it actually gives you more ways, rather than just relying on Eternal Soul, to get Dark Magician to the board. And in doing so, you could then trigger Circle a lot more consistently, so that you're basically setting up 2 banishes every single turn, which is really cool. And then, Konami, looking at you, where's my upgraded Magician's Rod, please, and thank you very much. Now, if this is a quarter century in the Bonanza, I'm going to be slightly annoyed because it will fit within that 200 set right at the end, like the nostalgia cards. If it's not and it's in the 70 card set, happy days. But please, give this guy an upgrade. Triple Magician's Rod, your best normal summon of the entire deck. We do play the 1 Tomias, and I'm also playing the 1 Apprentice Illusion. Again, more nostalgia towards like the overall feel of Dark Magician. It is a 45 card deck, so if you wanted to, you could start cutting some of these back. But the idea is that your Termite is your route to Dragoon. Yes, of course, Dragoon won't protect you early doors from a Nibiru, but the idea is with this deck, because you're going down more of a control route, you shouldn't really be summoning more than 5 times a turn anyway, or even close to 5 times a turn. So keep that in mind, unless you go full on combo. And if you go full on combo, then you get into Dragoon and you protect yourself anyway, and you don't even clash with the Lordy Lord. And even then, you don't need to use the effect of the Lordy Lord to search. You can just use it, to summon. You just use it to search, and then you use Magician's Souls to send it, and you get a draw. Which, again, you'll know more about when we get to it. Then a little bit controversy is 2 Soul Servant. I just feel that multiples of this is not ideal in the hand. Like, I will search it when I want it off of the back of Magician's Rod, and usually when you're going to be doing that, it's because you've already opened up a Magician's Souls. You activate this, you're going to be setting yourself up for a double draw, which is absolutely fine, but then I don't want to draw into another Soul Servant. If I do, yes, of course, I can stack my deck for the top draw of the next turn, but when you look at all the Dark Magician cards that you could top deck, you kind of want something to be a little bit more powerful. So being able to play 2 of this is, in my opinion, absolutely fine, but again, you can play 3 if you want to. It does come down to personal preference. And then, of course, we've got the 1 Magician's Salvation. So the idea behind this is that this is ideally going to get you to your Eternal Soul, which just gives you more access to get a normal monster back to the board. But then on top of that as well, it is just free send fodder off of the back of the Magician's Souls. Dark Magical Circle, like I said, I'd actually really like to, well, number 1, I'd like to see this as a quarter century, but number 2, I'd actually consider playing more of this. Now, the only downside of this particular build, and pretty much any Dark Magician build when you do play Dark Magical Circle at more than 1, because then you want to be opening it up, is that you want to make sure that every time you're activating it, it's resolving. The biggest downside of the card is the fact that it will only let you grab a spell or trap that lists specifically Dark Magician, or Dark Magician itself. It doesn't let you search out any monster. If it let you get any monster, like a Magician's Rod or a Magician's Souls or an Illusion of Chaos, happy blooming days. But unfortunately, it doesn't do that. So that's kind of why it's still kept at 1. But like I said, actually hard opening this in this particular version is not the end of the world, because this, especially if you're going second, plus the Primite Roar, just gives you an on-field banish. So going second, you get a combination of Dark Magical Circle and then Primitive Roar. You get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, get a Dark Magician from the deck off the back of the Primitive Roar, and then you're going to be able to banish 1 card as well. So really kind of cool. And then the last kind of spell we play is the Secret of Dark Magic. Again, Konami, foil upgrade, please and thank you. So this is obviously an insane card for the deck as well. You can play more if you wanted to. Honestly, I think 1 is more than enough. You've got a couple of ways to fusion summon in this deck, one of them being Secret of Dark Magic, one of them being Timaeus, and that's why we only play a limited amount of fusion monsters. You do have other ways to fuse which aren't directly searchable in the Dark Magician archetype, because as a preview, we are playing Super Polymerization, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on as we go down. But I just wanted one of the cards that my opponent couldn't respond to that would allow me to break a board. Like Dark Ruler and Droplet, opponents can play around it, whereas Super Poly, they just can't respond at all. So I'm guaranteeing to break the board if the materials fit within what is in the extra deck, which I think with Asmina running around, plus Yubel still being a factor, you can get the access to get into a very strong fusion monster from the extra deck, and you'll see that when I go through them. Then the last 2 Dark Magician cards we're playing is the 1 Eternal Soul and the 1 Magician's Combination. I love the artwork on this because it's got like the magical cylinders, it's also got the spellbook, and then of course it's also got the Iron Knight in the background, which is the, it's called the Iron Maiden, but it's actually the, Brain God, it's the Dark Magic Curtain, I believe, in the background. But regardless, this one is, once per turn when a card or effect is activated, except during damage state, you get to tribute a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Gil, and then you special the other from the hand or graveyard, and then if you do, you negate the activation. And then if this face-up card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you get to destroy a card in the field, which is good because obviously with Magician's Souls, you send it and then you pop a card. But the idea is you want to keep this on the board, and you just need to make sure you've got a Dark Magician Gil in the graveyard. The only time that this ever falls apart is if your opponent B-steals or DD Crows or removes that Dark Magician Gil from the graveyard, which does happen. So you do need to be a little bit careful, but I just do still quite like the idea behind it. It's a shame that it wasn't negate, destroy, and then revive. Like, I would have no issue if this was like tribute a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Gil. Bosh, that's your cost. Then, on resolution, destroy, and then you get to choose to bring back a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Gil. It's just a shame you have to have the other one in the graveyard in order to do that, because it switches them first, and then negates and destroys. Really annoying. Okay, now on to the best engine to help this deck out for a long time, the Primite cards. So we're playing 2 of the Primite Imperial Dragon. So it cannot be normal summoned except by tributing a normal monster, but it can be normal set. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you reveal this card in the hand. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 Primate monster, which will be, of course, be itself. I'm hoping we're going to get more in the future. And then on top of that, you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is tribute summoned, you can apply the effects in sequence. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls, and then banish all monsters your opponent controls with the same type or attribute as a normal monster in your graveyard. So the idea is you're going to tribute off your Dark Magician, you're going to summon it down, which means your normal monster in the graveyard will be Spellcaster and Dark. The fact it banishes them, especially in the format when we've got a load of Dark monsters running around, this is insane. I'm hoping we are going to get more Primite cards like this that then allow you to banish as a different type, because obviously you're not going to be able to splash this, like where this gets the benefit or the versatility from is when you're playing different normal monster decks. So what I mean by that is if you were to play this in Phantasm Spirals, you would then get the ability of Waters and Sea Serpents and everything else like that. But because that's a little bit more finite, this is probably like one of the better versions, because Dark is just more of a consistent attribute to be running around. And Spellcasters is also quite damaging when you look at like the White Forest matchup when they're only going to be lights. So you won't be able to banish them because of the attribute, but you'll be able to banish them because they're Spellcasters. So it gives you the benefit of everything you need to, in my opinion, and I really do like it. And then we got Primite Lordy Lord, and the best thing about this engine is like 15 quid. I paid 15 quid, and I got 2 Lordy Lord, 3 Imperial Dragon, 3 of the other Ultra Rare, and 3 of the Primite Roar. So like Lordy Lord is the only expensive one, and even then it's like £5 a copy, which is mental. So speaking of Lordy Lord, why is this card so good? So when this card is activated, you add a Primite card from the deck to the hand. So the benefit of that is you can get Roar, which is a quick play summon of a Dark Magician, basically. You can also get the Drill Beam, which of course is a quick play negation and banish. Or you can search out the Primite Imperial Dragon, which is going to be a board wipe and a negation. So you get the benefit of everything. Now that one doesn't lock you into it, but you add a Primite card from the deck to the hand except itself. You can declare one normal monster card name, Dark Magician. Special summon one declared normal monster from the hand, deck, or graveyard in defense. But you cannot activate the effects of special summon monsters on the field this turn. So keep in mind, if you activate Magician Souls before using that effect, you can't activate that effect. So if you're playing on Duelbook or anything like that and you're like, why won't it let me summon a Dark Magician from the deck? Because you've already activated Magician Souls, well, that's the reason why. But the benefit is, you get the search, and you're not locked out. You only lock yourself out if you summon the vanilla from the deck. So if you don't want to summon the vanilla from the deck, you just go Magician Souls, send Lordy Lord, get a draw. So Lordy Lord replaces itself by searching out a Primite card, and then you go Magician Souls, send this, which replaces itself directly. So great success. You cannot use the effects, special summon monsters on the field this turn. You can only use each of the effects once per turn. And then normal monsters and Primite monsters you control gain 300 attack for each normal monster with different names in the graveyard. So that will only ever put Dark Magician up to a 2800. But keep that in mind, sometimes that's the big difference. And this will go up to a 2900. So. And then we've got triple Primite Roar. I really do like this card as well. I think this card's insane. So you pay 2,000 life points to declare one normal card, monster card name, Dark Magician. The declared normal monster and Primite monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle until the end of your opponent's turn. Then if you control no monsters, special summon one declared normal monster from the deck in defense position. If your opponent normal or specials a monster, you get to banish this card from the graveyard to target a normal monster you control or in your graveyard. Banish one monster from the field with less attack than that monster. So again, if you've got Dark Magician on the board and you've got Lordy Lord on the board, the Dark Magician would have 2800. So you get to banish one that is 2800 or less attack, which is insane. Or specifically less attack, so it would need to be 2799 and below. But the fact of the matter is you just banish it. Target a normal monster you control, so you target your monster, but then you non-target banish. So Primite Roar is going to give you one banish, Circle will give you another banish. And then we've got 2 of the Primite Drill Beam. So this one is you reveal a Primite card or a normal monster in your hand except itself, or if you control a normal monster, Dark Magician, or a level 5 or higher Primite monster except a token, you can activate this effect without revealing a card. You target one face-up card on the field, negate its effects, and if you do, banish it. During your main phase, if you control a Primite monster, you get to set this card from the graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. So again, it's a nice way to recycle it, which is why you're only playing 2 and not 3. But then the benefit behind this card as well is this sets you up another banish. So you've got Circle, banish 1. You've got Roar, banish 2. You've got Drill Beam, banish 3. And definitely in the early doors of a deck like this, your opponent's going to be like, oh, well, I kind of know what Dark Magician is. This is going to be an easy one. I'm obviously playing a new player or a scrub. And then you're going to go Primite Roar, and they go like, whoa, what does that do? Read. Oh, okay. Put it back into the graveyard. And then they completely forget about the second effect, or they probably don't even read the second effect, and then they go, cool, normal summon a monster, and you go, sweet, banish Roar, effect, banish that card, and they're like, whoa, wait, it has that effect? And you're like, yep. So that's it. That's it for the Primite cards. Absolutely insane, very small engine. The only downside is it's 2 ultras and a secret, but like I said, you can get an entire core, or I picked on my entire core for 15 quid, and I think you can do the exact same. So now going on to hand traps and board breakers. So for hand traps and board breakers, like I said, I went with Super Polymerization. Now, like I said, it's a 45 card deck, and the idea behind going with Super Poly over anything else is I looked at droplets, I looked at Dark Ruler, I looked at other hand traps, I looked at protective cards as well, like Crossout Designator, and ultimately the way I looked at it was I want a card that will allow me to break my opponent's board if I'm going first or second, or a way to disrupt my opponent where best possible. And that's when you're playing cards like this, and mainly what I think is going to be an MVP of the upcoming format is going to be your Predaplant Dracostapelia. Now the reason for this one is it requires a fusion monster and a dark monster, so that straight away, without them being able to respond, will get rid of your opponent's Lacrima, and then will also get rid of your opponent's Rage. Now yes, the chances are they could bring the Rage back from the graveyard, but then straight away you'll have the ability of using Dracostapelia's effect to then negate the Phantom. So it instantly puts your opponent in a position of, right, well I need to use Phantom now to get rid of the Dracostapelia, and all I've done is use Super Poly and something else. On top of that as well, you have a lot of spells that will banish your opponent's monsters, so you don't even need to worry about Phantom, because you just be like, okay cool, Dark Magician on the board, off of the back of Raw, banish a card, off of the back of Drill Beam, negate and banish a card. Like, it just gives you so much that they can't really deal with, and I just thought that Super Poly was a great way of breaking a board. Now obviously it will come down to the environment. If you're playing an environment where you don't have any Super Poly targets whatsoever for what you're facing against, cut it out. But if you are playing an environment where you're always going to have targets for Super Poly, I think it's one of the best cards you could do. Then for the other hand traps, we've got Triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, followed up by 3 Bestials in the form of Magnamute, Bulldrake, and Druid Swarm. So not only can these be used as fusion material to get you into your Dark Magician fusion monsters, but they can also be utilised as very powerful hand traps for this current format. Especially against Yubel, you've got the Asminas they can be very damaging against as well, and they're just really kind of cool mini-boss monsters on the board that allow you to extend and disrupt. Not to mention as well that your Bestial Magnamute during the end phase can also help you search out your Primite Imperial Dragon, so even more synergy. You can even search out this Tamias if you wanted to. First time Tamias has ever actually been searchable. Now, obviously, I know it's searchable in the Dark Magician deck as a whole, but what I mean by that is a lot of people, when you say Tamias, they go, oh, the Tamias spell should have been searchable. I agree, Tamias spell should have been searchable, but unfortunately, it's not. And then the final card we're playing is Triple Infinite Impermanence. Now, I did look at like Dominus Purge and everything else like that, but the issue with Dominus Purge is you do play a couple of light cards in your extra deck. So it's one of them, not Dominus Purge, sorry, Dominus Impulse. So you could play Impulse if you wanted to. I do think it's a really kind of cool card, but the idea behind this one was locking myself out of Earth Winds was very damaging because it meant you couldn't use your Primate Monsters effect and you'd just be relying on the Primate spell effects, which is still quite good, but you're kind of handicapping yourself for something you might not necessarily need. So it's something that I looked into. I thought that Imperm was probably like the better option. It's definitely the better option of all the hand traps. Like, this is the first hand trap I put into most of my decks just because it's great going first and second. And like I said, when building this deck, is I wanted that ability as, even though it's still a control style deck, it's not a set 5 pass type of control style deck. It's a, I need a couple of cards to combo, but I also control as I'm doing that. So you need to have as many power play cards as possible to help you break a board in retaliation, because there'll be a lot more ways your opponent can interact with you rather than when you're just setting 5 and passing and then you go, okay, cool, Torrential Strike, for example. Moving on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we are playing 3 Dark Magician fusion monsters in the form of the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, the Dark Magicians, and Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. Again, looking at you, Konami, please can I have a quarter century in this one? Very nice. This is probably the one you're going to want to go to more times than not, as this will allow you to protect your spells and traps, especially when you bring in Secret Village of the Spellcasters from the side deck, because then that's when this is going to protect that as well. And it's like, okay, cool, well, my opponent is spell locked, and I can keep bringing back my Dark Magician to keep banishing their stuff, so I'm just constantly going to pick it away. The Dark Magicians, because you're playing more spells than anything in this one, the ability to draw into a spell and activate that spell, or the ability to draw into anything during your turn or your opponent's turn, is really, really important. And then Dragoon is Dragoon. It's like the best boss monster we've ever received for a Dark Magician deck. And then another card that you can play is the Guardian Chimera. Now, I know you're going to be like, whoa, how do you make this? Well, as long as you are using a Dark Magician, you can actually summon it off of the back of your Secrets or Dark Magic, as a lot of people forget that Secret or Dark Magic is just a generic fusion spell. It just requires you to use Dark Magician from the hand or field, or a Dark Magician Gil. So you can use either or and get you into a Guardian Chimera. And then as far as Super Poly targets, we do play the 1 Garura Wings of Resonance Life. We've got the Mud Dragon of the Swamp, and then of course we've got the Predaplant Dracostapelia. Now this one was mainly in here because of Asminas. It's also going to be in here because of the end board of Yubel, because you just hit a fusion monster and a dark monster, as I've already explained, so that gets you rid of your opponent's Desiree and then gets rid of their Rage. And then if they want to bring back the Rage, by all means they can do, but you'll still have Dracostapelia to negate it in retaliation as well. And then, one card that I'm so happy I get to play again is a Bon Illusion Magician. I used to remember playing this back in the old days. I actually went out of my way to buy a jump version of this card, and this was one of, like, the first scenario that I found out that jumps weren't legal to be played in the European TCG, and I was so disappointed. So I had to wait for the Shining Victory Special Edition, I believe it was, or the Dark Illusion Special Edition, which brought this out as a super rare. And I was like, yes, I can finally use my ultra rare jump version. So this one, you can also XYZ using a rank 6 spellcaster XYZ you control as material. Very rare you're going to be doing that, but it is a generic rank 7. On top of that as well, you get to detach material from this card and then special summon a spellcaster normal monster from your hand or deck. And then when a spellcaster type normal monster declares an attack, you get to target a card your opponent controls and banish it. Now obviously it's been slightly power correct in just the days of general Yu-Gi-Oh! But the idea is, again, this will get me more access to Dark Magician from the deck. It gives me the way of setting up my drill beam. It can also give me ways of being able to just banish another card. So if you're going second and you were to activate something like Raw would then allow you to banish it from the graveyard, but I don't know how your opponent's normal summoning during your turn, but keep that in mind. But basically you've got Raw that will banish, a Bon Illusion can help you banish, Drill will help you banish, Circle will help you banish, and then of course you've got the overall board banish of the back of your Imperial Dragon. It's just banish central. And then for the Link monsters, I've got the one Unduct, I got the one Link Spider, SP Little Knight, IP Masquerena, Dark the Dark Charmer, Selene, Queen of Master, and of course Access Code. So with Access Code, you can actually see that the way we're going to build up to it, if you choose to build up to it, it will end up having a light, a dark, an earth, or a wind, or maybe even both if you wanted to. So it's going to end up getting like 5 banishes, because you'll go, okay, cool, the Dark Charmer will be your dark, your Selene will be your light, your Umduct will be your wind, and then of course you've got your Spider, which will be your earth. So 4, because apparently I can't count. But the idea is that you're going to get 4 banishes off of Access Code. If you ever destructions off of Access Code, and if you ever get to a point where you need to use 4, well, you're pretty much going to be getting in for game anyway. And that is pretty much it. So control the board state with banish, 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 and then OTK with destroy, destroy, destroy. The best thing about that as well, it gives you more access to get to Dark Magician as just the general aggressor, and being able to go exactly like that. Dark Magician declares attack directly. GG, bro. Told you I was a master. What a terrible advert that was. Anyway, it was so happy, or I'm so happy that I was able to kind of put this deck together. This is the first time that I've been really excited about a Dark Magician update for a long, long time. Like, I think the last time I was this excited about Dark Magician update, like, the toy box was kind of like a cool niche option, but I think the last time I was really this excited was the White Forest version, and unfortunately you ended up playing more White Forest than Dark Magician. So this is the first time since I played Dragoon Control with this deck that I've actually been super excited about putting it together, and I'm really happy that I've been able to kind of, it is cheap as well, which is the nice thing. It's like a cheap upgrade to get all of the Primite cards, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. Of course, I would like us to get a structure deck on the level that the Blue Eyes just got a structure deck, because that deck is mental. But in the meantime, I'm happy to play around with a 15 card, because I swear to God, if they go, oh yeah, by the way, here's a brand new Dark Magician Fusion monster, which is absolutely insane and cracked, but it's only available as a quarter century rare, and it's going to be going from anywhere from £4 to £1,000, I'll be like, bro, you are killing me here. Stop it. I just want to play Dark Magician at my locals, and maybe take it further. You never know. Let's relive that amazing achievement of being able to get a regional top with Dark Magician. God, I love that day. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.